Hey everyone, welcome to the literally 12 Beans episodic review of Mandalorian Season 2. Damn, that's crazy.
And I'm Squad Bolin.
Together, we're going to be watching Mandalorian. This time, we're going to be keeping our conversation a little bit more on topic, a little bit more scaled down to the actual episode, hopefully. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and jump right into it. I know we both had a very similar reaction to the episode after we both watch it, because we watched it at about the same time, not together, but at the
That
same time.
that would be that'd just be weird. I didn't even have socks on, so it was a really meh reaction to the episode.
They're not necessary. It
And
wasn't a bad episode. It's something that I think the Mandalorian, I've seen a lot of people say online, Mandalorian really thrives at being an episodic adventure series. So not every episode has to be this chapter in a
grandiose thing.
larger story. It was similar with
Yeah.
Mandalorian season 1. Yeah, Mandalorian season 1, the first episode brought in what the show was going to be. Second episode was I don't want to use the term filler because it doesn't feel like filler in Mandalorian. They
It
do a fantastic job of making their episodes that aren't conducive to the central plot feel like something that's still this is an interesting event that's happening to characters I'm invested in, just in a weird universe where weird things can happen, and I'm okay with that.
see I had that, but I also did feel the reason it ended and I was like, damn, like that's it. like is because it felt kind of fillery. It felt like it was ending right where the rising action should have been. And that's not to say like
That's
the
true.
cold open was fantastic. It was a good ride, but then it felt like it. First of all, he walks into the fucking saloon, the cantina, and immediately the chick just dumps some exposition on him and is like, "Oh, the person I'm sitting in this cantina with just happens to know exactly what you
Oh,
need. That's crazy."
Ant-Man.
Yeah, Ant-Man knows exactly
Ant-Man.
what she needs,
Yeah.
which I think is gonna. I haven't really watched as many theory videos on this as I did with the last episode because it just came out, but I think that's gonna be like a red herring. Like I think she might be throwing him through a loop a little bit, maybe. But if she's not, that was such a weird, like, first of all, like exposition
The
drop and
his
weird, like,
his contact on Mos
convenience.
Eisley, the
Yeah, yeah,
woman at the spaceport.
yeah.
Right. It did feel a little, I don't want to say out of nowhere, because nothing out of Star Wars typically, at least not in The Mandalorian so far, has really been out of nowhere. But it definitely felt it's the most Deus Ex Machina of plot exposition that this show has had so far. And to be honest, I think our reaction is so harsh to it is just because we haven't gotten that before. It was
That's
like
true.
it was a small lull in a really fantastic series so far. So it's something that sticks out more than it normally would in a subpar TV show or any
I
other
did
Disney Star
I
Wars
did
content.
like the New Republic stuff. I
I
like
thought
that he
that was a
doesn't know
great
what the Force
segment.
is. He's like, "Ah, may the Force be with you." I like that.
Yes, I love that, especially since he's carrying probably a clone or the same species at least of one of the most powerful Force users in the galaxy. I mean, less than a week ago, this guy was talking to the woman that made his armor, and she was telling him about an ancient order of sorcerers, and he was like, "Damn, that's crazy." A callback. And then a week later, he's saying, "May the force be with you," and he has no connection between those two things. For him, he's just getting hassled by space hall monitors.
Yeah, and I guess, so the Dave Filoni cameo, it's the same guy from season 1, same character, uh, which is why he recognizes the ship from the Prison Break episode.
Yes,
He was on, like,
Trapper
the response
Wolf.
team or whatever it's called. So it makes me wonder what that guy's job description is. Like,
Yes,
what does he do?
he
He's
was
like, "Yeah,
the
one day I'll be
QRF,
patrolling the outer rim, the next day I might respond to a prison break. I really do a
just
little bit of
flying
everything
around,
around
I
here."
guess.
Just flying around. I really fill in the gaps.
Yeah, they're probably nondescript right now. I mean, like he said in the episode, these are difficult times. These are confusing times. So the New Republic probably can't afford to police everything. So they probably just have their guys in X-wings that a couple years ago
Just
blew up
float
the Death
around.
Star. Now they're just flying around trying to maintain
Well,
some
because
semblance of
I mean,
order.
the rebellion was running on. We see the entire rebellion in episode 6, and they're running on a skeleton crew.
It's
That's the
true.
basis of the New Republic. So even though it's been 3 years, first of all, they're still fighting the war because there's still obviously an Imperial remnant that's still in full swing, pretty
Right.
strong. We saw just a glimpse of one cell, one Moff, and he's got like a lot of guys, like
He's
enough to
doing
at
pretty
least
well for
occupy a
himself.
capital city, you know?
Yeah. It was more than just a warlord. Like that is
Right.
an
And
organized
they had
imperial
to have been they
faction,
had to have been
not
fighting
just
that
some guy who
off.
took his platoons to a planet and set up shop.
Yeah, and they had to have been fighting that off, for the last couple of years, and they're just getting established. They haven't even phased out Imperial credits yet, according to season 1 of The Mandalorian. So it's like, yeah, I guess Dave Filoni would be flying around in an X-wing, realistically.
Right.
I don't know the character's name. It's like Captain Carter or something. I don't remember. I didn't
Yeah.
read the
I think
subtitles.
that's I think
The other
that's
one.
something that the episode 2 touched on pretty well with the ending after he's rescued from the spider creatures, the ice spiders, where they were like, "Hey, we got you on breaking a prisoner out of jail, but you kind of PEMDASed yourself out of that situation by you know leaving us three other ones behind and trying to save our guy. So we'll let it slide because I think the New Republic knows that people like that are probably in the end like they're a thorn in their side, but they're not one that they can afford to deal with right now, and they're probably going to do more good than harm to them at least for the time being.
And
Anyone
that's
that's
yeah, I
out
think
there
that's true.
anyone that's out there disrupting criminal factions and the empire when there's kind of a void of power in the galaxy, or at least a potential for them to try and reset back up, it's going to make their jobs a little bit easier in the end, especially since the New Republic doesn't really have a standing military system probably in place yet. They're using their loose rebel style formation where they had a military structure, but it wasn't a military structure set up to police an entire universe or galaxy, I guess, like the
Yeah.
empire was.
Han Solo got promoted from captain to commander, and he was frozen. He didn't do anything.
I think that was probably a more of a PR thing, trying to keep morale high.
Maybe.
But stuff like that. But I mean, it is stuff like that and saying "May the Force be with you." That's some shit that to everyone else in the galaxy just means like rebels, cool, good, Empire, bad. Because you could tell when the Mandalorian says it, he doesn't he doesn't know what it means. He's just like, that's what these guys say. I should say it, especially since I tried to just bullshit my way out of not giving them my driver's license.
I mean, that's essentially what it was. It was like a traffic stop. It
Yeah.
was it was good. It was good Star Wars comedy. That's how Star Wars comedy is done.
It's true. It
They
shouldn't have
fly
to
now?
be. Yeah, it's the two opposite ends of bad Star Wars comedy are Jar Jar Binks stepping in CGI shit, and then they fly now. Those are the two opposite ends, both equally as terrible.
And then on the other end of that
And
same
then,
spectrum is Star Wars traffic stop.
yeah,
There was
Star
actually a
Wars
couple
traffic
times I laughed in this episode. There's some
being.
good like situational comedy.
That's true. I laughed at when they're flying alongside of him, and then he does the whole "Force be with you" thing. But my favorite part was when they come over the radio. He's sitting there, the guy comes over and he goes, "Can you switch to channel 2?" And then it's silence, and he looks over and they open their S foils into attack position, and then they come back over and they go, "Were you near a prison ship recently?" And he just books it. I
He
loved
said,
that.
"Fuck that, I'm out."
I think that's a perfect example of Star Wars comedy in that moment.
Or even when he's like, it doesn't seem to be working," and they're
Yeah,
like, "Okay, well, you
exactly.
better fix it." And he's like, "Oh no, here it goes. It's working now."
Yeah.
He's
The
like a shit liar.
anyone who's ever tried to like lie their way out of anything, whether it's school, like I forgot my homework at home and the teacher's like, "Well, I guess you're gonna fail the test today," and you're like, "Oops, here it is," because you didn't finish it, or it's like halfway done, or you did a shit job.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Great
Completely
example of
segueing
Star Wars
off.
comedy.
I know you hate the sequels, but I've gone in the Phantom Menace episode. I went on a little tangent about them adding races and not just reusing ones we've seen very little of. like the slug guy in the sequels and basically all the sequel races really, uh, and adding
Yes.
like space orcs. And I don't know if you noticed, but
Yes.
in the beginning, one of the bandits is a sequel race, one of the robot face people. I don't know what they're called actually. I don't have the visual
Um,
dictionary that's been updated for the sequel shit. The dude that held the knife to Baby Yoda,
right. Those,
that species. I don't know what they're
they're
called.
like Jawas, but worse.
Yeah, Robo Jawas.
Robo
I
Jawas.
guess they must be native to like they must be like Jawas. They're just on sand planets like that.
How is it that every time we do anything related to Star Wars, we end up coming back to the sequels didn't do anything new, they just remade the original trilogy?
We'll get there. We will get there, Mr. Crazy. We will get
They
there.
just made new Jawas. My goal
Oh
is
man.
to, have enough good points why the sequel trilogy is garbage and get enough fame that I will get invited on the, EFAP podcast one day to shit talk that garbage trilogy. I don't think it'll ever happen because that series is beyond relevancy now, but boy, would that be great one day.
That's a
So,
dream.
if any of them watch this, Mahler, Rags, people that I know and most people do, I'm sure you don't know who I'm talking about at all.
No, not at all.
Okay.
But I'll let you do your shtick. I'll let you ride.
I'll
I'll
make
let
sure I
you ride
let
that
them know
wave.
we're a package deal. Going off the other Star Wars, like you were talking about with the Star Wars races thing, it's interesting. More new ones are being added, and I wish I could articulate a better reason why I'm more okay with it now than I typically am. I guess this one is a pretty good explanation because she's talking about how her species is about to go extinct. So like she has to go, or at least her bloodline, and then it's kind of implied that she's like, her species is on the low end
Rare.
of things. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not very common. So I think I'm a little bit okay with that for that reason. It's not like in the sequel trilogy where you're at a cantina and it's just a bunch of aliens you've never seen before and not even one familiar, and you're like, I guess this is just we're just doing something entirely different but the same at the same time. This feels like he's on a weird planet and then some rare alien comes out and is like, hey, I got to get to this planet. I'm extinct almost. And he's like, okay, that's fine. It's something that passes off. The one thing I have to be honest, I didn't care for just a giant ant. I mean, that was just a giant ant. I don't see the Star Warsiness to it. I know the guy who directed this episode, Peyton Reed, is the director of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then there's the part in Ant-Man and the Wasp where he's got the giant ant, going around the house in his ankle monitor and stuff. So it's kind of similar to
Oh,
it's
maybe it
it's
is
a
an
callback.
homage.
It's an homage, a
I don't
callback,
know
a
as much
reference.
about the Easter eggs in this episode because I haven't had the time to really because we did. I watched it and then we recorded episode 1, and then
Yeah.
now we're doing. And then we played Unturned all day, and now we're doing this. So
Right. There's not a lot
they
to sink your teeth into in this episode, but that doesn't mean it's
no.
bad. There's still enough
I'm
there to sit
hoping that they
down and
got.
enjoy.
I'm very much hoping that they got the Baby Yoda. It does cute shit meme templates. I'm hoping they stuck all that in this episode because they're going to be moving away from it. I
Yeah,
understand the pandering. I understand that they. Okay, maybe now's a good time because this episode was so Baby Yoda centric to talk about Baby Yoda syndrome or the Baby Yoda effect, as I call it,
it's
which is
terrible.
it happens in a lot of media, but this one has to be the most prominent, where
It's very potent.
your target audience is X demographic, but because of one thing that takes place in the show or one thing like Baby Yoda, it has expanded. So now people either A watch The Mandalorian or B look up Baby Yoda stuff, get exposure. The Mandalorian gets exposure because Baby Yoda's super cute. So now all the merch
It's
is Baby Yoda and all the posters have Baby Yoda. And there's like the target demographic suffers because now there's not as much cool Mandalorian stuff because
yeah,
everything has to be
exactly.
Baby Yoda
Everything's got to
shirts.
be Baby Yoda related. Everything's a stuffed
And
Baby
I
Yoda or
hope
a
that doesn't
plushie.
take over the show.
It's Baby Yoda is the bane of Star Wars. It's necessary evil. Because
It
I
is
don't
because
I don't mind Baby Yoda in the show as like a plot device. Like I feel like Baby Yoda was introduced as a cool idea where they're like, what if he fucking stumbles across what's a crazy thing that we could make like the plot centric thing of our show? What about a baby Yoda? Because we have never seen that before. There's some crazy shit with
Yeah,
the
it's
Empire
fresh.
going on. Theories are gonna go out the window. Like, it was a fantastic play for Star Wars fans. Diehard Star Wars fans are gonna see a baby of Yoda's species and freak out because none of us know anything about it. We know Yoda and Yaddle, and half of us don't care about Yaddle. But so seeing Baby Yoda was Baby Yoda, brilliant play. But then boom, everyone fell in love with Baby Yoda. Who every girlfriend that was forced to watch Mandalorian because their boyfriends are way too into it saw Baby Yoda and their hearts melted. And that's when Disney knew this is the merch that we need to pursue. This is the thing that we need
And
to lock in.
it's a good business move. It makes sense.
It
It just
really is.
irritates me.
It's something that we're
It
just
just
gonna
it just
complain
makes me
about.
upset.
We're
And
Star
the
Wars
fact that they
fans.
didn't
We can't be happy with what we have.
the fact that they didn't consult me before they went on this marketing tirade honestly angers me further
Had they
because
come to the L12B podcast, this is a running theme for us. We're gonna be bigger than soup, and if we're bigger than soup, I think we know what's best for Star Wars.
honestly, because okay, you look up Star Wars, you know how much soup pops up? Probably none, but
Not a
it
lot.
could if they consulted us more
They could some-
often.
we could bridge the gap.
We could bridge the gap because okay, think about all the times where you're sitting there, you're eating 12 bean soup. I don't like this bit, and and then
And you're
Star
watching
Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah,
There you go, and
there
that's
you go.
there's your bridge. It's a
George
glass
Lucas.
bridge to be sure, but it's a bridge.
George Lucas could never have envisioned that level of
I
connectivity
think Star Wars
between.
is inherently bigger than soup.
You think so? What
I
do you
think
think has
if I
been
had to
more
venture a
profitable
guess,
over time, Soup or The
soup's been
Mandalorian?
around longer.
Soup has an unfair advantage with time, but I think Star
I
Wars will
think
catch up.
if you put all the grossed income from soup in the history of the world and all the gross income from Star Wars in the history of the world, Star Wars actually might still win.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, when's the last time people went to a movie premiere at midnight about soup?
They will once we get big. Once we start making movies.
Once we're bigger than soup.
Once me and old Davey
Yeah,
Falone's sit
Davy
down over some
Filoni.
12 bean soup and discuss why the merch is ass for the Mandalorian.
I don't think he's responsible for it, but we'll make
I'm
our
gonna send him a
concerns
strongly
heard.
worded email.
He's gonna get a letter.
You know what? A letter might be a little. I just have shit handwriting, so letter might be better. I just can't write.
Fair. Well,
I
luckily
know
we
how
don't
to
have
write.
to. We don't
Disclaimer:
have
I
to
know how to
write.
write. I
If
just don't
people
know how to write legibly.
if people can't tell, we don't write our episodes or our videos. This is all
I
very
had
much.
notes. Can't read them. I had notes for this episode. Actually, let me take a peek at those to
Yeah,
bring us
let's
back
see
on
what
topic.
I wrote down egg jar question mark corpus, and I don't know what that means.
I put mandible seems convenient, but we already touched on that. Let me put a check mark there.
There
Oh,
was some
this is actually one I did want to talk about. First of all, badass. He just gets fucking double tapped in the head, and it's just like, ow, man.
that was
But
pretty cool.
hand-to-hand combat in Star Wars, and the Mandalorian has been hitting it hard.
Their
Pun
fight
intended.
choreography is fantastic.
Yes,
I
it's
don't know who
so
they
good,
brought
and it's
on.
very not so much anymore. It was really just once. It was very Batman Arkham games esque. Just it felt like blows landing. Felt like he was moving around like fast as fuck,
Right.
and just he looked confident. Like most of the time when you see hand to hand combat, you get like the kung fu in episode 2, where
Yeah.
like Django jumps up and then he jumps. Obi-Wan jumps up and they do karate kick each other, and
Do
that's like
karates.
it.
Yeah.
And then there's the Clone Wars, the old 2002 Clone Wars cartoons where Mace Windu is just fucking boxing a bunch of droids, which is pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
that was just insanity.
That was just Samurai Jack.
Where
But
Anakin and Asajj Ventress have like a 30-minute duel.
yeah, I mean that was cool though. But we'll talk about that another time for sure.
2002 Clone Wars is deserving of its entire own video because it's
It
fantastic.
is. But
There
the
are people on
Mandalorian,
the internet who say it's bad. It's like, garbage.
go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
If you
That
think it's
being
bad,
said,
fuck you.
that being said, happy to do a collaboration at any time.
We're really reaching out. We're
We're
networking.
shilling for views. We're
But
networking, yeah.
the Mandalorian hand-to-hand combat season 1, season 2, we've had a couple instances of it already in season 2, and it has been fantastic. He was mostly like disarming and like getting the upper hand in this one. It was kind of like it was more environmental than hand-to-hand.
Yeah.
Really, he was just kind of using what was around him. I still liked it.
It's really good because it packs a lot of weight behind it, and that's good because it's with the Beskar, I was worried they would fall into the vibranium problem, where like in Black Panther, personally, I think it was a fine movie, but I couldn't get as invested because you know the hero's never going to die, but you want to have a reasonable expectation of they could be in mortal peril. And I never had that with someone wearing a vibranium suit because of everything they're talking. It's invincible to almost everything. And with Beskar, I was afraid they were leaning down that avenue because blaster bolts are deflecting off of it, like nothing is getting through this armor. But I like that because the armor isn't all encompassing, and it's something he worked pretty hard for, and now he's getting to use it to his
He earned
advantage,
it.
and
Yeah.
he's still getting his ass kicked plenty times plenty of
Times
times to make
aplenty.
it not, yeah, times aplenty to make it not feel like he's just absolutely invincible, because we all know he's the main character. He has plot armor. If the Mandalorian died in episode 2 of season 2, it'd be a really weird choice for the show. But I think it's interesting because in Star Wars, we don't see a lot of hand-to-hand combat. All of the close personal combat we've seen is limited to lightsaber duels, which are awesome, and then that one time a clone tried to punch a droid and died.
That's true.
We haven't seen a
That
lot
is
of
very true.
actual hand-to-hand combat, and what's interesting because in Star Wars, you think everyone's got laser guns, why would anyone bother learning hand-to-hand combat? And then you see stuff like this, and you're like, I guess that's why sometimes, it's
Sometimes you
beneficial.
got to close that distance.
Sometimes you gotta beat the shit out of a space bounty hunter who's got a disintegration rifle.
And that very niche opportunity arises.
Yeah,
You could be like,
well,
"This is my time," and use your fucking karate.
we've seen a lot of in this season so far, more, I don't wanna call it primitive, but, like, less spacey shit. Like, in the first episode when they're fighting the Krayt Dragon, the sand people are shooting harpoons into it, and I have to admit, while I was watching, I was thinking to myself, "What the fuck do they think harpoons are gonna do? They're anchoring in sand." And then that happened where they tried to grab it and anchor it, and fucking surprise, you're in sand. It just dragged them along the ground. But, and then in episode 2, they lay, a rope trap, like
Yeah,
Spider-Man
it's
3 when
true.
he zoinks the goblin off his glider when Harry Osborn gets concussed. A lot of, more just regular stuff, I wanna call it. It's not as overcomplicated. If he was driving the speeder bike through the canyon and they activated some complex laser grid magnet trap thing,
Very Clone
it begs
Wars.
the question, yeah, it begs the question, why not just use a rope? And it's cool to see people use that.
Yeah, it's cool to see another side. The Mandalorian is very much another side of Star Wars that we just haven't fucked with yet.
It's
Like,
true.
for lack of a better term, we just have never fucked with like people in Star Wars that are, first of all, the post Empire era is really fucking cool because Empire
Yeah,
is like war torn, kind of almost like dystopian, apocalyptic almost, especially on planets like Tatooine.
right.
And we'd never really explored that. But I did find it interesting that they seemed, when they were setting up that rope trap, they seemed to kind of know, like, they knew what they were doing. They didn't just see Beskar and be like, "Ooh, let's get it!" Like, they weren't bandits because they were talking about get the child. They were
Right.
they were they were specifically poised to steal the baby. So I
Yes.
wonder who hired them.
Well, it implies that there's still a contract out, but it's not by the Bounty Hunters Guild anymore, or at least not by Grief Karga. They've
Yeah, who? But
they've
who? But
mended
who
that
is
bridge.
the question?
I'm willing to take a stab in the dark and say the Empire might be behind
I
it.
think there's more people that could be after Baby Yoda now that he's like, I guess not public knowledge, but the Mandalorian has been carting him around. And when he, in the very first episode, he sits down with the fucking Cyclops guy and he's like, "Where I go, he goes." And the dude says, "So I've heard." So his reputation's out there.
That's
I
true.
feel like
He's
there's more
he's
people that'd be
definitely got
interested
a.
in Baby Yoda than just the Empire, which is
I'm
why I don't
wondering.
necessarily feel like those guys might have been hired by
That's
them. Also,
true.
why would they know he's on Tatooine? And if they did know, why would they not deploy, like, I guess they wouldn't deploy stormtroopers
It could have
to
just been
Tatooine, but
happenstance. It could have just been bandits who know that people on speeder bikes pass through that area and they take advantage of that
well, then why would they
relatively.
specifically go for the child though in that
Well,
instance?
I feel like a good way to rob someone is to take their child hostage.
You know what?
I'm no
You
kidnapper.
give a fair point, but I want to know why you have so much experience with robberies now.
I'm no kidnapper, but I feel like if I wanted to rob someone and I could take their child hostage, that'd be a pretty good bargaining chip.
I'm forced to agree with you. I'm forced to
Right.
agree with you. But it helps me not think of this episode as fillery if
As
I think
just
that
things
it's gonna if
happening.
I think it's building to a larger thing. But you I don't know if you mentioned, I don't know if it made it into the last cut of last episode, but you did mention the cold opens uh
Right, they're
of
fantastic.
Mandalorian, and yeah, I've reflected on that since you said it, and yeah, they have almost every episode has had an office style cold open before the opening credits,
Don't
but it's
call it office style.
instead of comedy or Jim and Dwight pranks, it's fucking badassery every
We're
time. It's fucking
absolutely
jetpacking.
comparing The Mandalorian to The Office is either gonna get us blacklisted by the Star Wars community or
It's gonna bridge a
hailed
gap
by the
once again.
Office community. I don't know if that's a gap that needs to be bridged.
Glass bridges, man. I'm all for glass bridges. You can shatter them anytime you need.
Speaking of, things shattering, my hopes for a Boba Fett centered episode since the previous one,
I
which
mean, it still could be. Slave One is on that planet somewhere.
I'm calling it. I've told you this. I had after episode 1 aired, I was out of my mind with Boba Fett theories of why he's still on Tatooine, and then I was talking it over with a friend of ours who I've told you about already, and I had the idea, what if Boba Fett's stranded there? The Hutts have Slave One pretty much impounded, and without his armor and gadgets, and, he's probably wounded to some degree from his time in the Sarlacc pit, he's not confident that he can free Slave One on his own, at least not without his equipment. And I was hoping we would get a Boba Fett Mandalorian, like, impound breakout of Slave One for this episode. So disappointed, but that's not the show's fault. That's my fault for setting such crazy high expectations. And I sent you a Snapchat while I was watching the episode of me freaking out when the spiders were chasing him into the ship, saying Boba Fett's going to fly in there and blast them all in Slave One. I knew at the time that was incredibly unlikely and was never going to happen. I was absolutely blindly hoping for that. There was no reason for that to
That's
happen. I just wanted it so badly, and it didn't,
I
and
would
I
have
was
liked that
upset.
too. I would have
But
liked
that's
that too.
okay.
But
The
I think what I am hoping is it's more of an IG-11 situation where everyone's like, "Oh, we didn't get a bunch of Boba Fett," and
right,
then
and then
later
later on in
in
the
the season,
season,
Boba Fett, bam, he's there, and he's like a
comes
big
back in a
character.
bigger way, right? That's
Yeah,
similar to a
because
thought that
I don't
I've
want it
had
to be.
before.
It is very similar. It's almost as if you said it to me and I just regurgitated it as if it was my own, and
Right.
you called me out on it on live TV
On live TV. Well, when we're bigger than soup
for the masses.
when we're bigger than soup, we can't have lies built in. That's scandals ready to break in the future. We have
Not
to
gonna
cover
lie,
our
man.
bases.
I forgot you were the one who told me that when I said it.
It's
I thought it was
okay.
gonna come across as an original thought. And you'd be like, "That's very thought provoking. I should reflect on this later."
To be fair, it was an original thought. I'm just the one that had it, so it's not on
It's
you.
not original for me.
Yeah. If you tried on anyone else, it would have worked fine, I don't blame you. But,
Very good thought.
overall, still really liked the episode. The things that I didn't like about it were not things that I didn't like because it was bad, it was just I had really high expectations because I'm a huge nerd for Boba Fett,
Disappointment.
and I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of people are.
And
A
I'm not a
lot of
huge
people
nerd for
probably
Baby
share
Yoda.
that. Exactly, I'm not a huge nerd. If I could trade Baby Yoda for Boba Fett in this episode, I absolutely would. I
100%.
I hope we get some more episodes in this season of him depositing Baby Yoda somewhere and then going off to do cool shit. It makes
Yeah.
sense for his character that he doesn't wanna do that anymore. Like, I was surprised in the first episode when he didn't leave Baby Yoda with the I can't remember her name right now, which is bad
The
of me to
crazy
do.
haired
But the
mechanic
crazy hair
bitch, yeah.
lady, yeah, the mechanic bitch that he, lands his ship at her starport or landing zone or whatever. I was surprised he didn't leave Baby Yoda with her, but it makes sense for his character because last time he did that, some, like, 23-year-old punk kidnapped his adopted son and tried to hold him for ransom.
That's true.
So,
It's very
maybe
true.
at that point he's feeling like, "Maybe I should take things into my own hands." And especially if he's looking for a Mandalorian, he's gotta be like, "I need you to help me find this thing," and then hold it up and put it on the table.
That's true too. Yeah, I
So
think
it
that makes sense.
it kinda makes sense, but I hope there are because some of my favorite episodes in
Yeah, just him
season 1,
putting him in
where
the fucking
when
cargo hold or something.
yeah, he's just on the ship or he's with a friend and he just gets to just absolutely, go ape shit.
On Bill Burr
He's
again.
yeah, on Bill Burr. You think we'll see them again? You think we're gonna get a Bill Burr
So, me thinking
recompense?
critically from, like, the show's pacing perspective, probably not this season, but also Bill Burr expressed interest in returning, and
It's
his character
interesting.
is fine, like,
Yeah.
alive.
Well, they're in
So,
jail with the New Republic, so they might
yeah.
just be there
Well, I
now.
guess, there's a
There's a
bunch of
lot of
characters from season 1
interesting
supposed to be making a resurgence, according to
right.
articles
There's a
I've read,
bunch of characters in season 2 from other Star Wars media that are supposed to make an appearance, which is
and we'll
why
talk about them
right, when we
when we
see
get there.
them, hopefully I believe Boba Fett's gonna play a bigger part. I was worried it was gonna be a one-off cameo at the end of episode 1, um, and that he was and then, we wouldn't see him again, and that would just be a huge waste in my opinion. I don't know why they would do
I
that,
don't think Dave
but
Filoni and Jon Favreau, they know the fans, they
exactly,
know they
yeah.
wouldn't do it. I don't think
Dave
they'd do it.
Filoni if you look at any memes going around in the Star Wars community, the Star memes in the Star Wars community are pretty good at being indicative of what the greater community likes, which is why there's a whole lot of prequel memes and not a lot of sequel memes. It's
We'll
a
get
pretty
there.
it's a pretty
We'll
good
get
gauge.
there.
It's a pretty g I'm just saying, it's a good gauge, but there's a lot of memes right now about Dave Filoni, taking Darth Maul, a badass on-screen character with, like, 4 lines who died in his first appearance after, like, 10 minutes on screen, bringing him back and giving him one of the coolest arcs in all of Star Wars, making him he was already a fan favorite character just because he looked cool, but now he has a reason to be. Darth Maul has one of the most compelling stories in all of Star Wars,
And
and
when
I
you
would
throw
be
Sam Witwer, who's already a fan favorite, like, get him in something canon type
he's a
of
he's a
dude.
he's a fan favorite just dude.
Yeah,
Everyone
he is.
loves Sam Witwer.
He is like he's the heir to the throne with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Like
He really
he's
is.
next in line if they ever come to him for
He's the
creative
prince of
consultants.
Star Wars right
He is the
now.
prince of Star Wars.
He
But I
can
think
do
in
no
summary
wrong.
for Mandalorian season 2, episode 2, The Passenger. Less eggs, more boba. Uh 'cause there's a whole lot of eggs in this episode, from spiders to fucking frogs, and a
There were a lot
whole
of
lack of Boba Fett.
you
But
know
we
what,
did get Dave
we're gonna give
Filoni
this episode
cameo.
an E for egg.
Yeah, I think
Similar
overall
to your
grade to
head
give
at the time.
it a big old E.
Similar to your head at the time, right?
Has a little something for everyone. I'm gonna ignore that. Has a little something for everyone. This
This
episode
episode
really makes you feel like Baby
feel
Yoda.
you're right. Well, that's not something we want too much of. That's something I can allow, and I hate that I said allow, like, you know what? No, I am the authority on Star Wars. I'll allow it just this once.
Just
From now on,
for you, anything.
I just hope they bring Boba Fett back in a good way. I'm sure they will. It's Dave fucking Filoni. If anyone can do it, he can. But I'm calling it now. If Boba Fett is no longer Boba Fetting around because he's sad, and we find that out, because if Mandalorian just goes back to Tatooine randomly, if he's like, ah, damn, got to go back there for the 4th time, and then Boba Fett's there, he's like, oh, it's me, Boba Fett. I'm sad. That's
If that
fine.
happens, I'm gonna put my balls on Dave Filoni's desk.
Fine.
We can threaten to sexually harass, but we can't keep the other thing that you said. What you said that no one will ever
Harass.
hear,
That's borderline
can't
assault.
have that.
That's borderline assault on Dave Filoni.
Borderline. I walk the line.
As long as you
Joaquin
stay on the
Phoenix.
right
I walk
side of
the
it.
line.
So much of this is gonna have to get cut.
All right, let's
Um,
wrap it up.
but for a closer, I think Boba Fett's gonna have a really good. He's gonna have a really good role in season 2. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Especially my confirmation on that is the emphasis on Boba Fett's armor in the beginning of the episode. Because if it was something that he just had, I don't think they would all do all these zooming shots on the helmet tied up. The armor getting thrown from the speeder and then panning over to it. There's too much focus on the show going, look, Boba Fett, look at it, absorb that Boba Fett and his armor are both present in the universe again. For them to do all that and then just do nothing with it frankly, I'd be flabbergasted,
I
to put
would
it
be
mildly.
flabbergasted. I would have to goonk them
I'd have to goonk them. They'd be goonked, flabbergasted,
and zoinked.
and
To be honest.
some other third thing, not zoinked.
um, basically, if you're watching this and you're really worried and you're shaking in your boots because you think that Boba Fett's not going to come back, don't worry. We got you here at the Literally 12 Beans. We got you.
We'll make
Trust
sure
me.
We'll make sure Disney runs that through us.
Yeah, we'll make sure
If
they
they
run the
don't do
numbers.
it right, which I don't think will happen, because again, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, fantastic. Love them. Trust them with my life. However, if they mess it all up and we have to take matters into our own hands, we'll intervene.
We will
We'll,
intervene.
we'll go to a desert. We'll film a fan film on the same level as Star Wars Theory's Darth Vader fan film. And you can
This is
take
the
this to the
second
bank.
time you've promised this.
I will go to a desert. I will
You
record.
don't know where a desert is.
I'll find one. I will locate it. How hard can it be to find a desert? They're
You
huge.
just press F3. Good Minecraft reference.
Deserts are big. They're easy to find by that logic. So therefore, I'll find a desert. I'll wear the Boba Fett armor. We will film Mandalorian season 2 canon version. And you can take that to Disney.
Take that to the bank and cash it.
Cash
All right.
that at
Thanks
the
for
Disney
watching.
bank.
Thanks for watching Literally 12 Beans. I've been Squad Bowling.
I've been damn. That's crazy.
And YouTube Analytics says that less than 1%. Just like the goddamn video. Don't even subscribe.
YouTube Analytics says we don't have any subscribers. So go ahead and change. If you want to disrupt the system, feel free. By all means.
You really stick it to
subscribe.
YouTube if you like our video, subscribe, and leave a comment, for the algorithm.
If you hate Susan Wojcicki, or whatever her last name is.
I don't know what you're talking about. All right.
It's the CEO of YouTube. If you don't like Susan Wojcicki, subscribe to our YouTube channel. More shitty content to come.
So
Hopefully
confident.
It'll get better.
Endlessly confident.
Endlessly confident that our content is now bad, but will eventually
It'll get better.
Be all right. It'll be all right.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. It'll be stomachable. And if it's not, make a new podcast. Start over.
And if it's not, we're gonna go shoot the Literally 12 Beans version of the Mandalorian in the desert, and you can take that to the goddamn bank.
You can cash that for some Disney bucks right now.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Squad Bowling coming at you solo. Just to thank you for watching this video all the way through. Once again, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, get our fucking name out there, start sharing the video, put it on Facebook. I don't care what you do. Just get us some criticism. We're trying to make this shit as good as it can be. Just a whole lot of fun, and we'd like it if we knew why other people liked or disliked it. So make sure you do that. In other news, there is no other news. We're getting more episodes out to you soon. Watch the other episodes. There's 2 more as of right now. Make sure you go and watch those ones as well. And see you next time. Thanks again.